Well, Notion has released a lot of features recently, but whenever this happens, I always ask to myself, like, how do I use these new features in my own workflow? Okay, so in this video, I'm not really gonna focus on which are the new features, which of course I'm gonna cover, but I'm gonna focus more on how we can use them in our day-to-day. Use cases, that's all we care about. Okay, so we have a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first new feature is side peek. And what is this really? So before, you remember that whenever we were going to open a page within a database, this page will always open in this way with a pop-up over here. Well, now this is customizable. And not only is customizable, they have included one more way that we can open these pages. And this is what they call side peek. So for example, if I click on this card, this new column appears on the right-hand side. And this is fully resizable. And what is important to know about this feature is that this can be made the default per type of view or per type of layout. So let me explain. So this is a board view. So if we go to these three dots and to layout, we can see here the new option, open pages in. So by default is in side peek, but we can also select center peek, the one that was default before and that we couldn't change, or full page. So if we move it to center peek, then whenever we open this, we're gonna get the old version. But if I change this one from center peek to side peek, okay, this opens in side peek as we have seen. But if we take another view from the same database, this is the same database, and we click on it, this still opens in center peek. So this means that the default has just been changed for the board view. So every linked database from this database that we create in a board view is going to open as a side peek. Another option to change the default is here, edit view default, or if once we are here, we decide that we want to open this as a side peek, we can just click there and it's going to open as a side peek. So in my case, to write these YouTube videos, I have one page, which is the YouTube video itself. So this is the current video that I'm filming. And then I have this subtask, the script. Okay, so what I do is I have all these quick notes over here that this is just like brain dumping all the information that I have for the video. But once I'm starting to write the script, I will open the script like this one, and this is where I'm gonna be consolidating all the data that I have here on the left over here. So I'm gonna have both views open at all times, and I'm gonna go one by one and consolidating all the information. So this is going to be very useful for these kind of cases where we have taken draft notes from something and then we want to consolidate them in another place. I'm also using this with my consulting clients. So whenever I'm having a call with them, I'm going to be jotting notes, and then when I'm going to send them the contract, that I'm going to include the scope of the project that we're going to be having. On the left, I'm going to have the ugly chaotic notes, and on the right, the contract. So I'm going to be consolidating these data. Okay, next new feature is the default templates. So you know that within a database, we have templates that we can apply, and the page where we apply the template is going to inherit the icon of the template and everything that is within the template. So now we have the possibility to set one of the templates that we have within the database as a default template. So this means that whenever we are going to be creating a new entry in the database, this template is going to be applied automatically. And whenever we are setting the template as default, we have a couple of options to set this template as default for all views in the database. So this means that wherever we are going to create a linked database from this database, this template is always going to be the default, or only for this current view. You see new task here, so only for new task here. But here there is a couple of scenarios that so far this is not being applied, meaning that the default template is not being executed. So the first one is every time that we create a task or an entry inside of a database using the API. So this means that a third-party app has created that in the database. So that won't work. The template is not going to be run. And another scenario in which this is not going to work is whenever we drag something from outside of the database and drag it into the database. So let's say that we have this and we want to turn it into a task. So we would drop it here. Yes, it is dropped, but you can see that the template wasn't run. Okay, so we will have to run it. Okay, so enough technicalities. How am I using this? For me, the first and probably my most favorite use case is to standardize the icons of my database. So for example, if I have this task database, as you may have seen, I have created this template that just adds this little icon, so it's empty. So like this, I make sure that every time I create a new task, I have this icon. So this is purely aesthetical. Another way that we can use this is, since we can assign a default template per view, so we can create a linked database to the same database. So these are two views from the same database, the task database, and we can set a different template as default to just apply in this view, only in this view. So let's say that this is a view that I'm gonna use to just create YouTube tasks. So I can create the task here, and this new template is gonna appear. YouTube and whatever video. So it appears in the filter. Okay, so like this is very easy to apply templates automatically. So everything that I create here is gonna have the tasks icon, and everything that I create here is gonna have the YouTube icon. And now we can scale this to other things. For example, if we had a meetings database, we may have one view for the regular meetings, another view for the quarterly meetings. So everything that we create from those views is going to have its own default template. Okay, next feature is gonna be the new relation picker. So if you don't know what a relation is, let's imagine that we have two databases and we want to relate them somehow. So we are gonna create this new relation property that is going to allow us to link any of the rows from one database to any of the rows of the other database. This is the basis of it, okay? So before, that was a little bit clunky, if you ask me. But now that they have created this new way, it is a little bit nicer. I wouldn't say that it's perfect, but I think it's a little bit nicer. So this is a relational property, and let's say that we want to add something to it. So in order to show you this new relation picker, I came here to my Twitter database. These are all the tweets that I've been publishing. And here I have two relational properties, one for YouTube, one for blog. This is what I use to repurpose the content that performs well. If we click on the relational property, we can already see that this is a little bit different from before. And the way to add new pages is with this plus icon. Before, we should click on it, then the app will bring us outside, click again, find it again. So this was a little bit slow. So now we have this plus icon and we can just do it like so. Another new thing is that now we can display properties in here to give us a little bit more context of each of the pages that are inside of this relational property. This, if you ask me, is half good, because I would love to be able to filter, for example, to just see everything that is on draft or something like this. Or if we are linking a task to a project, I would just like to see the ongoing projects, not the archived ones. I believe that this is a step in the right direction from Notion, but for me, it is not there yet. But well, it's nice that they are starting to add all of this. So there are a couple of ways that I'm using this new feature. The main one is one that I have already shown. So if we open this page fully, for me, it is now so much easier to go to these different pages that I have a subtask for this YouTube video. Because before I should click here, then a pop-up will appear and then click on script again. But now, since this new release, I just have to click on script and I will open the script, in this case, on the side. So we are also using another new feature, the side pick. So this is one change. The caveat here, in order to link a new page here, we will have to go all the way here to the plus. For me, user experience wise, this is not the best option. I would have added here add new relation button or something like this, but well, it's something that we have to get used to. And then the second way that I'm using this, that for me this is also super useful, is let's say that we have a week's database, that we have one entry per week in the database, and we always relate it to a month. But what is going to happen when 12 months pass and we have the same month in the database again, one from 2021 and another one from 2022? Before, we would not be able to distinguish. If we write August, I will have 3 August from all the different years. And I will just have to guess. Just click one, go to the page. Oh, this is from 2021. Fuck. Go back. Select the other one. But now, since we can show more properties, we are able to also show the year. So, okay, now we know that this is from 2022 and this is the one that we want to link it to. And by the way, this also applies to this view over here. Now we can also see the context here. And now that we are talking about relations, there is also one small improvement that they have added, which is the ability to limit the number of relations that we can create within one property. So before it was always no limit, but now we can limit it to one page. So this meaning that this week, in this case, can just be linked to 1 month. So if we click over here and we select another August, that one is going to be swapped, so it's not going to be added. Okay, so how am I using this? So let's say that we have this task database and we have the assignee property that is a relational property. So this way we can force people to just assign one task to one person, so we always know who is going to take care of that task. So if we go here, edit property, limit this to one page, so therefore this task is always going to be linked to just one person. This is also helpful to prevent mistakes from the employees in this case. So let's say that the boss finished creating a part of the new logo, and then another person, let's say the tech guy, should upload it to the website. So the boss will come here, click on the tech guy, and that's it. The assignee is going to be the tech guy. If we didn't have this limit, chances are that the boss and the tech guy are going to be the assignee if the boss forgets to remove himself from the assignee property. So, and that will create a little bit of chaos. So this way we always make sure that this just have one person. And by the way, this just works on one way. So let's say that we go to the tech guy over here. We can see that here we can add more than one task. So we are just limiting the number of links per relational property on this side of the relational property, on the task database in this case. But if we go to this guy, we can have multiple tasks, okay? This we could also limit to one, but well, in the case of tasks, this doesn't really make sense. Okay, so one new feature. Finally, native progress bars. So now we can say goodbye to all these intricate, super mega complex, difficult to understand formulas that we were using in order to have a little bar that just shows the progress of, let's say, the task that we have completed for a project. And now that we have a native way to do this, let me confess something. I never created any of those formulas, even if I'm like a Notion expert or whatever. I always copied those from someone else. I never really understood how they work. I just copied and pasted. Probably like you. So now I can go out in the open and be clear about that. Okay, so now how do we get these progress bars to work? The only thing that we need in order to see this new feature is to have a number property inside of a database or any other property that returns a number. And with number, I mean currency, percentage, but whatever is a number, so it's not text. And here there is two ways that we can set this up. The first one is exactly to have just a number property. So this formula over here is calculating the length of my title. And why do I say that this is one of the ways? Because here we are just having a number and not a percentage. And what is the difference? That whenever we have a number, we have to define the number that we are going to divide this number by. So in my case, since YouTube just displays 55 characters for each of the videos, whenever you see it scrolling through the app. So I'm gonna divide this by 55. So like this, I can see how near or how far am I from these 55 characters. Of course, I can use this bar as well as the ring, okay? We can also change the color. The only thing that's missing here will be conditional formatting. I would love that whenever this gets more near to 55, let's say over 50, that this bar turns red or something like this. Probably, I believe that this is something that is going to come in future updates, but well, so far we have like 80% of the feature here. Then the other way that we can use these progress bars for is for everything that is a percentage. So let me show you an example. So let's say that we have a project with tasks linked to it, and we want to have the progress of the tasks. So if we are using the status property for the tasks, using a rollup, I can calculate the percent per group that is completed. And this is gonna tell me how far am I in this project. So since this is a percent, I no longer have the possibility to add the number that I'm dividing the number by. So this is pretty handy for these situations in which we have a variable number of tasks in this case by which to divide the number of tasks that we have completed. So when we have these variables, so we have to use the %, and Notion will take care of the rest. As you can see, this comes pretty handy and quite visual for the project or for an OKR system that we create, objectives and key results, and super easy to set up. Now, in this part of the video, I'm gonna talk about some quality of life improvements that really doesn't allow me to do anything different, but just improves the user experience in Notion. So one of them is the comment previews and reactions in comments. So we can see here that we have some comments and that we can react to any of them like so. So if you've been using, I don't know, Discord or any of these apps, so it's practically the same. Another thing that we can now do is to preview a comment outside of the comment section. So we will just have to paste it here and paste as preview. So this is the same as I did when I was testing this feature. So if you ask me, is this useful? I don't think so. This is just cool. How am I gonna use this? I'm not gonna, because the only thing that we can do is link it to the first comment, which they call, I don't know, the discussion starter or something like this. So all of this don't give me the option to copy the link. So for me, it's like a half-baked feature. But anyway, this is something new. Okay, probably I'm lying a little bit. I think I found one use case, but I needed to really scratch my head for this. So I was imagining an onboarding process where an employee will come to Notion and there will be a template that we run. And one of the first things is like, hey, tell us where you're from. And then we will link the preview of the comment where the employee will click, find the comment, and then react with the flag. For me, this was the only use case that I found. Probably there is some, maybe I'm not so inventive, but yeah, so I would just consider this a quality of life improvement. Okay, another quality of life that they have introduced is that now it is much easier to create columns. Before, the only way was to drag some text over here, and that would be it. This didn't work within callouts. This didn't work within toggles. There was some weird workarounds to get around that, but it was a little bit pain in the ass. So now they have made this so much easier. Let's say that we have these 3 lines of text that we want to turn into columns. We can just click here, turn into columns, and that's it. So much easier. I love it. Another way to now also create columns will be with the / command column 2, 3, 4, or 5. So if we click on 3, so we will have, you can see here, 3 columns. And the last option will be with a little bit of a shortcut plus mouse click. If we hold the Option key on Mac, I don't know, on Windows, and click on this plus icon, it's gonna add a block on the right. Okay, so this is a new column. Okay, next quality of life improvement. Now we can actually align the photos. Before, if I remember well, they will always be centered wherever they were. So I needed to play with columns and sometimes even creating ghost columns with no data just to align the different photos. But now I can just have these photos over here. I can align this to the left. I can align this to the center, and that's it. So now it's much more flexible. New thing, now we don't need to fish for different icons outside of Notion. Now we have a gallery here that is humongous. I don't know how many icons there are here, but there is a lot. So if we find, I don't know, this is my focus page. So let's find an eye. And we have it over here, and when we click in any of these, we have all these colors to choose. So these are the same Notion colors. So I believe that if they're ever gonna change any of these default colors, like instead of this yellow a little bit more, I don't know, dark yellow, the icons will change accordingly. So this is also much more scalable and sustainable for the future. I have found that now like 80% of the icons that I will ever use are gonna be here. Just for 20% of them, I will still need to go online and to Flat Icon or to any other of these websites. But yeah, for me, this is a good quality of life improvement. There is also one extra thing that I really like, that whenever we create one icon in this gray, that they call it, this light gray, in this gray color, if we are on the dark mode, this is gonna be white, but if we change it and go to light mode, this is gonna turn gray. this is pretty cool for workspaces that are shared with a lot of people, that some of them are going to use light, some of them are going to use dark mode. So if we choose the default icon, we can make sure that for any configuration, the icon is going to be visible. I've had the light mode just for these 5 seconds in order to show this example, and I just go blind. I don't know how people use light mode, but okay, I don't judge. Okay, I don't. So the final quality of life update is a small one that is gonna save us a little bit of time. But now, whenever we click on each of the properties, now we already have this type over here, this type option. So we can change the type from here. Before, we just needed to go to edit property and click on type. So we are saving 1 click and a little bit of mouse travel from there to there. But if we compound this throughout an entire year, we may be saving like 5 or 6 minutes, which may be like 5 or 6 euros if we earn 60 euros per hour. So these are the kind of improvements that actually bring us money. Okay, so that was it. There was a lot of things to cover in this video. I told you, I don't know how long it's gonna be. I hope my editor doesn't kill me. But tell me in the comments below which one of these improvements you like the most. For me, I'm between the side pick and the automatic progress bars. But yeah, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and you wanna get more into the Notion rabbit hole, check out this other video somewhere, where I'm gonna show you how I manage my entire life in Notion, personal and business. Okay, so that is it for this time, and as always, hasta la próxima.